They called me paranoid for installing cameras in our new home. "You're acting like she'd cheat," my best friend said. Then one night, I checked the app. Guess who was in our kitchen? In my hoodie? I never imagined that buying a new home would lead me down a path of suspicion and betrayal. My name is Ethan. I'm 32, and not long ago, I took what I thought was the first step towards a bright future with Maya, my girlfriend of 3 years. When we decided to move in together, everyone said it was the perfect next chapter, a fresh start in our spacious new house on the edge of town. But from the very first week, I felt a quiet, persistent unease. The signs were subtle at first. Maya, usually an open book, had started keeping little secrets. At night, she'd slip out of bed to take what she called a walk around the block. It wasn't just that she was suddenly anxious about her phone. She kept it hidden away, almost as if she was safeguarding more than just messages. And then there were her inside jokes with Jay, my best friend since college. Jay had always been fun, my go-to confidant, but now his playful glances at Maya during our gatherings made me question everything. It wasn't that I ever doubted love. Believe me, I trusted her with everything. But when everyday small details started piling up, a gnawing thought took root. I began to wonder if I was simply reading too much into it, though the voice in the back of my mind wouldn't let me rest. Over the course of several evenings, I caught bits and pieces of odd behavior, like soft chuckles over calls I wasn't meant to hear and whispered conversations that stopped abruptly when I entered the room. It all added up into a picture I wasn't eager to see. So, one late night, while Maya was out on another one of her walks, I made a decision. I told myself it was nothing more than a step towards securing our home, a normal measure in a time where privacy didn't always equate to trust. I installed a few discreet cameras around common areas, thinking it would be a precautionary step against anything unpredictable. I told friends I'd done it for the tech upgrade and for enhanced security, even though every fiber in me screamed that it was to catch any secret rendezvous if they were happening. Of course, Jay was the first one to laugh it off. During one of our late-night video calls, he said, without any hesitation, "You're acting like she'd cheat or something. She's not that type." I remember feeling a mixture of relief and confusion from his words. The ease in his tone made me question whether my suspicions were just paranoia on my part. Yet, that night, as I sat in the dim light of my study, I decided to check the camera app out of habit. The clock read 1:43 a.m. when I scrolled through the live feeds. I was half expecting nothing out of the ordinary, a quiet, empty house that reminded me just how isolated our nights had become. But what I saw made my heart pound and my stomach turn. On the kitchen feed, bathed in the soft glow of the refrigerator light, I saw a figure moving with a familiarity I couldn't ignore. The camera captured someone leaning over the counter, methodically fixing something like they were perfectly comfortable in a space I thought belonged solely to me and Maya. My eyes locked onto the face, and in a moment of disbelief, I recognized it immediately. The person in our kitchen was wearing my favorite hoodie, a hoodie I only ever brought home from laundry. And standing beside him, almost casually, was none other than Jay. The footage froze my mind. In that single frame, every doubt and every ounce of trust one had into our relationship shattered into a million unanswerable questions. Who was this man claiming space in the sanctuary I thought was ours? And why, in the heart of our home, wearing my own clothes, did his presence feel so calculated? I sat there, paralyzed by a mixture of dread and a desperate need to understand. My instincts screamed that everything I'd sensed was finally coming to light, yet confronting it head-on felt like stepping off a cliff without knowing if anything would catch me on the way down. That night, with the screen's blue glow my only company, I realized there was more than just infidelity in play. It was betrayal in a way that cut deeper than any simple cheat ever could. And as I sat in that haunting silence, the weight of the realization began to settle in. I wasn't just dealing with a lapse in judgment or a moment of weakness. I was unraveling a truth that had been hidden beneath layers of trust, secrets, and twisted loyalties. The journey ahead promised to be darker and more complicated than I ever could have anticipated, and for the first time, I was no longer sure who to trust. I watched that clip at least 10 times. Each time, I hoped I'd see something different. Some explanation. Maybe Jay had just stopped by because of an emergency. Maybe Maya was helping him with something innocent. Maybe that hoodie wasn't mine. Maybe it wasn't even Maya. But the 10th playback ended the same way as the first. Jay, my best friend since sophomore year of college, making himself a sandwich in my kitchen, wearing my hoodie, at 1:48 a.m. And then Maya entered the frame like she lived in two separate realities. One where I existed, and one where I clearly didn't. She smiled at him. She smiled. Then she walked up, placed her hands around his waist, and kissed him like this wasn't the first time. Like she already knew exactly how he tasted. She leaned into his chest like it was her favorite place in the world. And I sat there, still, nauseous, barely able to breathe. You know that feeling where the air in your lungs just stops making sense? That's what hit me. Like I was watching someone else's life implode in front of me. But the address on the screen was mine. The walls were mine. The kitchen island where they leaned on each other? I built it myself during a weekend DIY spree. Every frame in that footage had a piece of me in it. She whispered something as they held each other. I turned up the volume. He'll never know. He trusts us. I don't remember getting up. I just remember standing in the hallway, staring at our bedroom door. She was inside, asleep. Or pretending to be. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I backed away like the hallway was on fire. My body knew better than my rage did. Something inside me screamed to wait. So I did. I sat back at my desk, rewatched the footage again, then opened the archive folder. Over the past week, the cameras had saved about 47 clips automatically, whenever they detected motion. I watched each one, and with every clip, the betrayal got colder. More precise. One showed Jay coming in while I was out getting groceries. She opened the door with a wide smile. He kissed her on the cheek, then they walked straight into the office, my office, like it belonged to them. In another clip, she sat on his lap in the swivel chair while he spun her around. She laughed in a way she hadn't laughed with me in months. The worst one, he came out of the guest shower one morning, shirtless, drying his hair. That towel was mine, the same one I used for gym days. She passed him my aftershave, the same one she gifted me last Christmas. He rubbed it into his neck. Every detail mine, every moment stolen. That night, Maya returned to bed like everything was fine. She curled up beside me, her fingers brushing against my arm. I held still, not out of fear, just disbelief. How do you lie next to someone who's already made space for someone else in your home and your bed? I barely slept. I stared at the ceiling for hours. Something inside me twisted tighter with every passing minute. The old Ethan, the one who might have yelled, punched a wall, or demanded answers, he didn't show up. What did appear, though, was this version of me I didn't know I had. Cold. Still. Patient. Because this wasn't just about cheating. This was orchestrated. Jay had looked me in the eye a week ago and told me, "You're acting like she'd cheat or something." That sentence kept echoing. It was too clean, too perfectly timed, too confident. They weren't just fooling around. They were planning. Comfortable. Settled. They believed they could do this forever. And I wasn't going to give them the screaming, crying victim they expected. No, I was going to give them something better. Proof. And consequences. Because if they were going to treat me like a background character in my own life, then they'd better buckle up. I was about to rewrite the ending. The day after I watched those clips, Maya made us French toast for breakfast. She kissed my forehead, humming like she hadn't just committed treason in our kitchen. Like I hadn't watched her sneak kisses in the hallway with the man who used to help me move apartments. She poured coffee into my mug, the one Jay had used in the video. The same one I threw away the night before while she was asleep. I smiled and said thanks. That was the beginning of the act. If she could lie to my face, I could lie right back. And I was better at it than she ever knew. See, once I knew the truth, everything became easier. I didn't have to guess anymore. I didn't have to keep searching for clues. I had them. Now I just had to collect them, package them, and wait for the right moment to break the glass. So I became everything she expected. Calm, distracted, busy with work. Even flirted a little with the idea of getting a dog, like everything was fine. But behind the scenes, I started rearranging everything. First, the money. Maya had no idea, but the house deed? It wasn't in both our names. When we bought the house, I was the one who qualified for the mortgage. We said we'd add her to the deed later. We never did. I logged into the portal, changed the passwords, removed her access to everything. She still had her car, but the insurance? In my name. That changed too. Quietly. She'd find out soon enough. Next, I bought a new phone. Not for calling, just for watching. I logged into the camera feeds and bookmarked every important moment. Even backed up the footage to an encrypted drive. I wasn't going to let this vanish into digital dust. And then, I went nuclear, financially. We had a joint savings account. Not huge, maybe $18,000 in there. Originally for future renovations. I moved half to my private account. The other half I left, but with a notification flag. So anytime she touched it, I'd know. One night, while she showered, I accessed her phone. I'd seen her passcode in a reflection once. A habit I picked up without even meaning to. Her messages with Jay weren't just emotional. They were delusional. Maya, I keep dreaming he finds out. But he never does. It's like I'm testing the universe. Jay, he's too trusting. That's what makes this work. Maya, you think he'd forgive me if I ended it clean? Jay, he doesn't want to know. He loves you more than he loves himself. That last line made my jaw clench. They weren't worried. They were confident. They thought I was predictable. Safe. A background character. The good guy who'd cry, maybe rage a little, and eventually forgive. That was their version of me. So I became something else. And I started playing with proximity. One night, I invited Jay over. I made steaks, poured whiskey. We watched a football game. Maya acted casual, like nothing had changed. But I watched her carefully. Her laugh was too sharp. Her glances too cautious. At one point, I saw her texting under the table. She didn't realize I'd cloned her notifications to my burner phone. Maya, he just invited you? Out of nowhere. Jay, yeah? He's being super chill. Weird. I smiled when I read it. They were nervous now. That was good. While Jay used the bathroom, I stepped outside to grab something from the car. I hit record on my phone and propped it near the bathroom door. What I caught was short, but gold. Jay, whispering to himself while washing his hands. Don't be paranoid. Just act normal. He doesn't know. He never knew. I saved that clip too. Later that night, as Jay left, he clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Man, it's good to hang out again. We need more of this." I looked him in the eyes and said, "Yeah, it's good to see who people really are." He hesitated, just for a second, but it was there. Maya asked what I meant when I came back inside. Nothing, I told her. Just thinking out loud. And that's when the plan really began. The trap was set. They thought they'd fooled me. But I was building the final act, brick by brick, with every fake smile and every quiet step. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't a scream. It's a whisper with teeth. They had no idea they were walking into a theater. And I was the one writing the script. After weeks of pretending not to know, I was finally ready to show my cards. But not with a fight. Not with yelling. Not even with a single word. Just a stage. Set perfectly. Lit quietly. With cameras rolling from every angle. Maya told me she was going to her sister's place that Friday night. She made a big deal of it too. Said they needed girl time. And that I should take the evening to relax. I smiled. Told her I'd probably stay late at the office. Truth? I had no meetings that day. I wasn't even at work. I was parked 2 blocks away, sitting in the back seat of my car, phone in hand, streaming my living room camera. Earlier that afternoon, I'd done a full sweep of the house, reset the cameras, checked the motion sensors, placed a small Bluetooth speaker in the upstairs hallway, and left a note in the guest bathroom trash can. Just one sentence, scrawled in my handwriting. Smile. You're already being watched. It was time to move from collection to confrontation. Except, they'd confront themselves. At 8:17 p.m., the front door opened. She was wearing the navy coat she always wore when she was lying. I don't know how to explain it, but that coat had become her costume. The fake Maya costume. Jay stepped in behind her like he owned the place. My place. He even took his shoes off by the door like he belonged there. Like this was normal now. They laughed as they walked in. I watched them grab drinks from the fridge. They toasted with wine glasses we'd gotten as a housewarming gift, from Jay, ironically. Then they kissed. Slow, familiar, disgusting. He leaned into her neck and whispered something I couldn't quite make out, but it made her laugh louder. Then they disappeared from the kitchen frame, heading toward the hallway, toward the stairs. That's when I tapped my phone screen. I had synced a short audio clip to the hallway speaker. It played through the ceiling vent the moment they reached the second floor. Just my voice. Calm. Even. Smile for the camera. Maya screamed. Like actual, horror movie, blood in the throat screamed. Jay dropped his wine glass. I watched it shatter just outside the bedroom doorway. He spun around, staring into the hallway corners like he could see the voice. Like I was standing there. They started yelling. I muted the feed and just watched their panic unfold. They opened doors, turned off lights, even tried unplugging the Wi-Fi. Didn't matter. The cameras were already recording offline to my encrypted drive. I didn't go inside the house. I didn't storm in with accusations. I just watched. At 8:32 p.m., Jay ran out the front door in socks, holding his shoes under one arm. Maya didn't follow him. She stayed inside, pacing, screaming into her phone, calling me. 10 calls. Then 16. Then 24. I didn't answer a single one. I let the silence speak. She sent a text. What the hell is going on? Where are you? Then another. Please just talk to me. It's not what it looked like. It was exactly what it looked like. I stayed in my car until almost 11 p.m. When I finally drove home, the lights were off, the house was quiet, and Maya was gone. All that remained was Jay's broken wine glass, the echo of their panic, and the hoodie I'd seen him wear in that first recording, now crumpled on the living room couch. I didn't touch it. I walked right past it, climbed the stairs, and shut the door to my bedroom. I slept like a stone that night. Not because the pain was gone, but because the confusion was. I didn't need answers anymore. I had footage. I had proof. And I had a plan for the next day. Jay made his move 2 days later. It was Monday morning. I was in the office, pretending like nothing had happened, replying to emails I didn't care about, sipping coffee I couldn't taste. I just finished drafting an internal audit report when I heard someone pounding on the glass door of the reception lobby. I looked up. There he was. Jay. Looking furious. Eyes red. Hoodie up, pacing like a caged animal. Our receptionist, a quiet girl named Lila, stepped into my office with that uncomfortable look people get when they don't know how to say, "There's a ticking bomb here for you." Ethan? There's a guy here who says he's your friend. He's kind of loud. Kind of? I stood, took one last sip of coffee, and walked calmly toward the front. Jay was already halfway through the lobby, shouting, "You think you're some genius?" he spat. "You think spying on us makes you better?" The entire office went silent. Phone stopped ringing. A pen clattered to the floor. People peeked around cubicles like prairie dogs during a thunderstorm. I didn't flinch, didn't even raise my voice. I just reached into my blazer, pulled out my phone, and tapped the screen. The video started playing on speaker, loud enough for everyone to hear. Maya's voice, crisp, soft, affectionate. "He'll never know. He trusts us." Then Jay's voice. "He's too trusting. That's what makes this work." The room froze. Jay's face drained of color like someone had flipped a switch in his spine. He reached out, maybe to grab my phone, maybe to knock it down. I stepped back once and shook my head. "I wouldn't," I said. "There's more. Plenty more. You want me to air out the whole playlist?" His jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth would snap. But he didn't move again. Security came seconds later. Not because I called them, but because Lila had. Smart girl. Jay didn't resist. He just stared at me the whole time as they walked him out, silent now, as if trying to guess what else I had. He'd been loud. But now, he looked afraid. When I got back to my desk, I had 10 missed calls from Maya. A few voicemails. I didn't listen to them, but the text caught my eye. "Please, can we just talk?" I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my banking app, transferred 1 cent to our now dormant shared account, with a message attached. "Enjoy hell." Then I went to work on my final move. See, there was one person left who deserved to see the truth. Jay's fiancée, Elise. They'd been together for almost 4 years. She and I weren't close, but we'd been around each other enough at holidays and parties. She was sweet. The type who remembered everyone's birthday and brought homemade cookies to group events. She deserved better. So I emailed her. No dramatic subject line. No emotional breakdown. Just, "You didn't deserve this. Thought you should see it for yourself." Attached was a Google Drive link. All the clips. Dated. Sorted. Labeled. She didn't reply that day. But late that night, just after 1 a.m., I got one line. Only one. I already suspected. "Thanks for confirming." That was all I needed. No theatrics. No big blow-up. Just closure. I blocked Maya's number. Blocked Jay's too. Deleted the app with the camera feeds. Changed all the locks. Every password. Reclaimed every piece of the house they had touched. I didn't need revenge. I had reality. And for once, it was enough. 3 months. That's how long it's been since that night. The one where Maya screamed at shadows and Jay ran barefoot out my front door. In the time since, I've relearned what silence sounds like. Not the kind of silence you get after a fight, or the uncomfortable pause during dinner when someone says something they shouldn't have. No, this silence was clean. Still, the kind that settles over you when something toxic finally leaves your system. I wake up in a house that doesn't feel haunted anymore. The cameras are still there, sure. I kept them. Not because I'm paranoid, at least, not in the way they claimed, but because it turns out, I like knowing what goes on in my own home. And these days, all the cameras see is a man making coffee, watering plants, reading at night. No sneaking, no whispers, no lies. Maya tried to contact me twice. Once through email, once through a handwritten note she left in my mailbox. She used my name with an exclamation mark, like we were still on casual, friendly terms. "Ethan, please don't ignore me." I was confused. You and I, we were fading and Jay was just, he was a mistake. "Please let's talk." That word, mistake, bothered me more than the cheating. Jay wasn't a mistake. He was a decision. Over and over again. Every time she invited him in. Every time she let him sit in my chair, use my razor, or my clothes, take pieces of my life. That wasn't a mistake. It was a slow, quiet replacement. That note stayed in the trash. As for Jay, I never heard from him again. Word got around fast after the office incident. He didn't just lose his friendship with me. He lost his fiancée, too. Elise moved out within a week, based on what I heard through mutual friends. Blocked him on everything. Refused to give back the ring. I saw him once, a few weeks later, at a gas station near the highway. He looked smaller, like someone had turned down the brightness on him. He didn't notice me. Or maybe he did, and just didn't want to risk it. Either way, we didn't speak. I paid for my gas, got in my car, and drove away without looking back. Since then, life has been quieter. No more surprise visits. No fake smiles. No one kissing me goodnight while texting someone else 5 minutes later. I got a dog. A beagle named Murphy. He doesn't cheat, doesn't lie, and when he stares at me, I know exactly what he's thinking. Where's the snack? I've started dating again. Slowly. Carefully. I don't bring people to the house unless I feel sure. And even then, I don't rush. I take my time. Because I earned that peace. I think a lot about that quote Jay once texted Maya. He doesn't want to know. He loves you more than he loves himself. Maybe that used to be true. But not anymore. Now, I love myself more than I love anyone who'd look me in the eye and lie. Sometimes I walk through the house at night, just like Maya used to. Only I'm not hiding anything. I just like the stillness. I like hearing the hum of the fridge, the creak of the floorboards, the soft breathing of my dog curled up on the couch. This house feels like mine again. Not because I won it in some grand battle, but because I outlasted what tried to poison it. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just watched, waited, and walked away with my sanity intact. And now? Now the cameras still blink. But not for fear. They're just part of the walls. Quiet. Like me. People said I was paranoid. But I wasn't. I was just early. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day. And trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.